Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to another edition of Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Coulter. To the far right, I got my co-host, Kevin Johnson, KJ. And in the middle, we got today's special guest. He's an all-time Pac-10 to 1990, 91. Also won the national championship in 1991. Teammates with Napoleon Kaufman, Mark Brunell, Billy Joe Holbert. This guy right here used to wreak havoc on defense. It's probably one of the highest points in a single season by any college football team. He scored over like 4,000 points that year and only gave up 115 points to their opponent. This guy also played for the New York Giants and also the Minnesota Vikings. We have today's special guest, Mr. Donald Ray Jones. Welcome to the show, Mr. Jones. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. You guys do your research, huh? You know, I hadn't heard a lot of that stuff in a long time, man.
Yeah, man.
No problem. We appreciate you coming on the show. For the people that don't know you, Mr. Jones, let them know a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background, where you from.
Well, I'm from Gladys, Virginia, actually, man. I played at William Campbell High School, man. And you guys, you'd be surprised to know that one of my teammates was the great Charles Haley from the play of the Dallas Cowboys. Our high school only had about 300 people, town of less than 1,000. Yet it produced 3 NFL football players, man. It's kind of crazy. It's known as a tobacco town. You know, that's all that's there really is tobacco.
Hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work.
That's all we had to do in the summer, man. We pulled tobacco.
Yeah. So you went from a high school with full of athletes to a college team with 25 drafted in 91 from that team, the Washington Huskies, man.
I know.
Congratulations on that. Go ahead, KJ.
Yeah. Hey, what age you start playing football and what?
We lost KJ?
Yeah, he's coming back in.
Okay, there he is.
All right, KJ, we lost you for a second. Go ahead and ask that question again.
All right. At what age you start playing sports and what sport was your first love?
Actually, it was baseball, man. I started playing baseball when I was like 7 years old.
Yes.
And I wanted to play football so bad, but my dad didn't, he didn't allow me to let me play it, man. So until I was like in about the 6th grade, I finally was able to get on a football team, and then but I played baseball like for years before I even stepped on the football field. But I always wanted football was always my favorite sport though. But baseball had to. That kind of that's what I started off playing at a very young age.
Okay. So what position did you play in baseball?
Man, I played them all really. Besides pitcher and catcher, I played first base, all the outfield positions, third base. I was pretty good, man. If I had stuck with it, I probably could have went pretty far with it, but. Well, once I got in football, man, because where we come from is kind of a football town.
I understand.
So it was like it occupied all three phases. If you weren't playing football, man, then you had to run track. So I was All-American in track and field. So that kind of took away from my baseball,
Yep.
But I always wondered what would happen if I had stuck playing with baseball. But I probably could have had a much better professional career, without going out knees.
Yeah. So talk about growing up in Lynchburg, in Virginia. Talk about that area a little bit. The times you living in the environment. Who were some of the notable people that you looked up to in that area? Talk about your coaches, things of that nature.
Well, yeah, man. There were so many talented people in that area, man. Had some great role models, starting with Charles Haley. He was about 4 years older than I was, even. So was watching him, because no one, from that school at that time, no one has ever went that far. And also looked up to a guy by the name of Barry Word, who also lived in the area. He played for the Kansas City Chiefs. Had a great NFL career as well. So I looked up. He wound up going to UVA, and I looked up to those guys, as role models, and that inspired me to try to make it to that next level. Because when you're in the country, like a very rural area, with very few people, no one has ever made it that far before, at the time. So those guys, once seeing those guys make it, really inspired me to try to make it as well.
So,
yeah.
Cool. So, did you have any brothers or sisters that are older than you that you looked up to? Played any sports as well?
Well, absolutely. I had an older brother, who played sports as well. He was about 9 years older than I was. So watching him play sports, he was very inspirational as well.
Okay.
He didn't play at the next level because he had a handicap, but he was a great athlete nonetheless. And I also had a younger sister as well who was, who was an athlete, and we all. Where we come from, we all play sports. My dad, played sports in high school, and he was very into sports, so we were grew up in a household of athletes, so to speak.
That's good.
Yeah.
so once you reached the high school level, did you play right away at the linebacker spot or position?
Well, my athletic prowess was pretty evident at a young age. I actually, with my size, I kind of stood out, in my, and I hit the weight room hard, man, ever since I was in the 8th grade, man. I love lifting weights. So my physique, people, it was different from most kids. I was already very chiseled. I was I was benching 300 pounds in the 9th grade.
Wow.
So so I played as varsity as a freshman. I started as a freshman on a district championship team, and so pretty early it was pretty evident that I was going to be a pretty good athlete, in some form of fashion. Yeah.
So talk about the competition at the level you playing in Virginia in high school. Who was some of y'all rivals and the level of competition you played in? Were you 1A, 3A, 4A? What division were you guys in?
Well, that's kind of a good question, because even though our school only had 370 students total, we had to play a whole level. We should have been playing single A, but we had to play double A because there was no single A schools in our area. So we always played schools that was 3 to 4 times bigger than we were. They had 800, to 1,000 students, in some cases, but and we, but we were, we were known as the country boys, the tobacco field boys, man. But no one had wanted to play us because we had about 25 guys that went both ways. That we were no joke. We hit hard.
Yes, sir.
And people did not want to play us, and we won our district consistently. So it was Virginia, man, it's a good competition, man. Especially when we had to play against those guys up in the Tidewater area, Norfolk, that in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we played against, I played against some great players in high school, guys like Matt Darby, Keith Garganis. Those guys had long careers in the NFL. So Virginia's underrated when it comes to talent, man. Per capita, I think Virginia probably had more players in NFL per capita than any state, period, overall. You got guys like Lawrence Taylor, Kenny Easley. I know y'all young bucks don't know about those old guys. but Allen Iverson, Alonzo Mourning, some studs from Virginia now, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good athletes. Charles Haley, Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
7 Super Bowls. So we, even though we're small, in this, but it's numbers wise, but those some ballers there, man. Ballers, there's a lot of athletes in that area.
All right.
Hey, what kind of defense y'all was running at that time? Was y'all blitzing a lot? Or?
Hey, man, you asking some detailed questions, huh, man? You know, you getting deep, huh? Man, we ran an old school 5-2 in high school, man.
Old school 5-2.
You know, I was actually known as a running back was probably, because I carried the ball like 40 times a game, man.
Okay.
So in college, I actually was recruited as a running back.
Yep.
I played linebacker as well, but I carried the ball so many times. I used to had to rest on defense, man. I didn't have no energy, man.
Yeah.
I literally, when I say we ran the ball every play, we did.
Yeah.
Don Jones right, Don Jones left, man. Two tights. And I just go bam, to get 5-6 yards of carry, man.
Talk about track a little bit. You said that you won the track. You was All-American in track in high school.
Yeah.
You had to put baseball down. When did you know you had to, make a decision from track to stick with just football? But before you get into that, talk about running track at your high school and the competition there as well.
Yeah, well, I was a state champion. I ran the 100, 200 shot disc relay, and
that's right.
And I scored points in every event, But I was so strong, man. I threw that shot put like 60 feet, and that discus I threw about 185. So I had more offers in track, than I did in football actually, because those track numbers, that kind of, the track numbers don't lie, So I was one of the top players in the, I threw farther than most people in the country. Like I said, I was All-American. I had Nebraska, all the top, Arkansas, all the SEC schools, they wanted me to run track for them. But football, is what I wanted to do. I didn't really love track, but I love football. Track is just something I did really just to keep it, because we, this football team, we all had to run track. So I was just doing that just as a hobby, really.
Okay. Yeah. So did you guys make it to any playoffs in football and won the state championship?
Oh yeah, every year we was in the battle for the state championship. We didn't win the state because we had to, like I said, we had to play schools 10 times bigger than us in some cases, So we were always, when we would go deep though, but we always run into a team that had 60, 70 players, and we only had like 25.
And y'all going both ways. I understand.
Going both ways, man. The whole team going both ways.
Man.
So I would catch up with us using the playoffs.
That's Iron Man football for you.
Yeah, and we played smash mouth football too. So we didn't
run the ball.
Trick you. We just, like I said, we wasn't a hard team to prepare for. That's for sure. But from a schematic point of view, but
I understand.
You better buckle up your chin strap though and be ready to play some smash ball.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
you know what's coming. Can you stop it?
Exactly.
That's right.
So,
did you play any All-Star games?
In high school, yeah, I played in the Virginia State All-Star game. And I think, was I MVP in that game? I might have been the offensive MVP. I think.
Dang, okay.
Because I led the team in rushing. And I think I scored the only touchdown, one of the only touchdowns. But yeah, I think I was offensive MVP of that game actually. And but yeah, we played. That's the best of the best. That's the only All-Star game in the state of Virginia, and so that's the one that was recognized as being the top All-Star game in my area at the time. Back then, they didn't have the Under Armour All-Star games and Army All-American games. They didn't have none of that back then. Everything was done locally, from a statewide point of view.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the recruiting process. You go into your senior year. You guys win the state championship. You probably one of the leading rushers, tacklers in the state. Your position. You got schools from left and right coming. Why did you chose Washington? And talk about the other schools that you had to visit or you had to decide on.
Yeah, at the time, man, I was going to either UVA or Virginia Tech because, I wanted, I wanted to stay close to home, and
Home, yeah.
you wanted your family to come and see you play, and but but it was crazy, man. That whole recruiting process. All of a sudden, I started getting letters from all over the nation, man. Somehow, from Notre Dame to UCLA to Clemson to then Washington popped up. In Washington, and I responded to that letter because I had family in Seattle. I had an aunt and uncle in Seattle.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
All right.
and I put that down there, and then they asked for some film, and and then they sent to my film. They loved my film, and they came down. I'll never forget Coach Don James, the legendary Coach Don James. In the College Hall of Fame, one of the all-time. He's the all-time winning coach in Pac-10 history. When he retired.
That's right.
And they just did even though I was going to camps at UVA and all of my friends were going to either UVA or Virginia Tech, when I went out there, man, I just felt a special calling, so to speak. Man, I felt like God was calling me up there. It was kind of hard to explain. I tell people that all the time, and I say, man, I prayed about it, and God drove. And I really prayed about it. I didn't just, some people say pray and then that, but no, I really got down on my knees, asked God, and he showed me specifically that Washington was a school to go to, and it shocked everybody. People from a local standpoint thought I should have went to UVA at the time, because at the time I think it was George Welsh was the coach, and I never forget he came once I committed to Washington. He came, him and Beamer came down to my house. Coach Beamer from Virginia Tech. Coach Beamer was just starting though at the time, and Tech wasn't the Virginia Tech as today. I mean, the UVA was the better program at the time with George Welch,
Yep.
and and I had to tell him that that's what God told me to go, man. I'm sorry. Frank Beamer said, well, I'm Catholic, so I'm about to go to the priest right now and say a few Hail Marys to see if God can change your mind. I got a kick out of that, man. I mean, they were all great. It was all great experiences in the recruiting process. And it was nothing. Everybody recruited me pretty hard, but when I flew out there, my recruiting trips, I bonded with the players, it was a different culture. Totally different culture because here I am, a country boy, going up into this big city of Seattle, Washington. All different cultures, man. I never seen an Oriental person before until I went out there, and it was, it was like, wow, it's a whole different environment, man. The culture in our football team is what. It was a strong thing up there, man, with Coach Don James, the program that he ran. It was totally different from the other schools that I visited as well. Because up there, football was king, man. And you really knew that. It was a lot more serious for some reason. You just felt like, because back then the Pac-10 was like the SEC is today. The Pac-10 was, with the USC and UCLA. I mean, every year, they were competing for a national championship, and Washington, those three schools, competing for the national championship every year at the time, going, but I think, like I said, man, I just really felt in my heart that Washington was a school for me to, to go to, and that's why I made a tough decision to leave my home and family and the comfort. To go out there, man. It was crazy, but at the same time, it was exciting, man.
Yeah.
So you get to the campus. Who's the first student, teammate, or coach that embraced you on University of Washington campus?
Well, on my recruiting trip, or when I went out there for good.
When you went out there for good?
When I went out there for good, I would say the first one that embraced me was got to be my best friend and college roommate was Greg Lewis. He was a Seattle native. A totally different cat. Totally. You talking about someone. From totally different backgrounds. He is a city boy. grew up in the inner city, you know, and I grew up in the country, you know, but we meshed so well, man. He got a kick out of me and I got a kick out of him, you know, and because we were both different, you know, and you know, but we appreciated the difference, and you know, and we were able to be best friends, you know, for life, you know, to this day.
Okay.
Greg Lewis, by the way, he wound up being the first Doak Walker Award winner as the nation's best running back, and wound up playing, had a great career with the Denver Broncos, before he blew out his knee as well. But he's, you know, all-time leading rusher in the Pac-10 at the time, you know, right before Kaufman came in there, you know, and broke all his records. But we both had great careers there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you redshirt your first year, or you played right away for the Huskies?
Oh, that's a good question, man. It was kind of nip and tuck, man. But like I said, I came in as a running back.
Okay. All right.
And actually, I was a fullback in their offense. You know, back then, they were, those fullbacks used to get the ball a lot, and I went up there, man, and really, you know, excelled right away, man. On the practice field, I was dominating, man. They put me on the traveling squad, and they made an announcement that I was going to start against the University of Oregon. But something happened at the last minute, man, to where Coach James decided not, because back then they wanted to redshirt you, man. You know, try to get the extra year out of it because people weren't leaving early back then. And so at the last minute I wound up actually, even though I made the traveling squad, I actually redshirted. You know, because I think the starting senior, I think what happened was he was hurt, but then he said, you know, they wanted to play another guy so they wouldn't waste my redshirt year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got a clip right here. You guys talking about your 91 season. We'll reverse it back a little bit and talk about when you first got your first start at Washington. But you just want to take a look at these clips here because no one see you guys on the radar at that time. It's taking the whole country by storm, all right? So
all right.
go ahead and take that up.
Who out there knows the story of the 1991 Washington Huskies? When they made their historic run through the college football landscape, virtually no current UW student had even been born. This is a team worth remembering. But first, let me give you a quick background. After averaging 7 wins a season over the final 5 years of the 80s, Coach Don James finally got his program back to national prominence once the 90s rolled around. Led by sophomore quarterback Mark Brunell, they capped their 10-win 1990 season in Pasadena, knocking off Iowa in the Rose Bowl. With sky-high expectations heading into 1991, all of a sudden disaster struck. Not even 4 months after being named MVP of the Rose Bowl, Brunell had his junior season derailed by a brutal knee injury. Enter Billy Joe Hobert. Now normally, when a football team loses its star quarterback, there are reverberations felt throughout the team all season. But this team was different. This team was so deep, so well-rounded, and so dominant that they still breezed through the season. 12 games, 12 comfortable wins that saw them clobber their opposition 495 to 115. They barely even broke a sweat against top 10 powerhouses like Nebraska, Cal, and in another Rose Bowl title, Michigan. All year long, the offense was able to move the ball at will on the ground, and when they did air it out, Mario Bailey was usually on the receiving end, scoring 17 times when only 2 other dudes in the country caught more than 13 TDs. Oh, and during UW's beatdown of the Wolverines, Bailey also trolled the hell out of Desmond Howard, reenacting his iconic Heisman pose celebration from their previous game. With the offense able to quickly grab comfortable leads, it was up to the defense to lock it down and put their foot on opponents' throats. There would be no coming back from behind against Washington. Hell, no team scored a fourth quarter point on them or even reached the red zone till the season was more than halfway over. Frankly, it's entirely possible that UW had the very best offense and defense in the entire country. Ultimately, 25 players from this squad became NFL draft picks, from 3-time Pro Bowlers like Mark Brunell and Lincoln Kennedy, to D-tackle Steve Entman going first overall, to linebacker Dave Hoffman, who was charged with not only protecting his end zone, but eventually protecting the President of the United States as a Secret Service agent. From top to bottom, this was a special team. I mean, how many others can lose their star quarterback and still go through an entire season without really ever even being challenged? So in any discussion of the greatest single-season college football teams of all time, don't you dare leave those 91 Huskies out of the conversation.
All right. We're back. For you guys that's watching, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Spotify, and Deezer. We have a special guest tonight, All Pac-10 and 1991 national champion linebacker Donald Jones. All right. So Donald, talk about your team back in when you first got to University of Washington. Talk about the first game you start. What was that feeling like?
Oh, it was great, man. Actually, man, wow, you bringing back memories, man. Because I actually the first game I started was against Oregon, and that's when I actually started both ways. I started as a fullback in our offense and outside linebacker. I scored a touchdown and got a sack in the same game. I think I was one of the only players in the country that were going both ways. So not too many people know that, because it's, I don't know, just
he was doing that before Charles Woodson and Dion. I hear you.
Yeah, man. So I got, I think Bill Musgrave was a quarterback at Oregon that sacked him, and basically at the time, we were kind of struggling as a program. Then Coach James decided, he went down to that summer before my sophomore year. He went down to Miami, University of Miami, and, saw those cats, all that speed they had on the field. Okay. He said, "Look, man, he said, look, that's what that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put speed on the field, and that changed the whole dynamic of the program. He started to put guys out there that can run, and we in my recruiting class and the class after me was, they recruited all speed. And he put those athletes on the field, man, and it just changed. We were like struggling in the beginning of the season, but that sophomore year, we began a run that was pretty much a darn dynasty. We wound up winning our last 5 games and wound up playing Florida in the Freedom Bowl against Emmitt Smith. We beat Emmitt Smith so bad that he took off his helmet. He did a Antonio Brown. I kid you not. Whoa. Because we were killing them, and he was like, "Man, I'm about to be the all-time greatest running back, and these guys ain't blocking for me." He just said, "Forget it, I ain't going back out there." But we beat them like 38 to 7 or something like that, because they were like, they thought they was going to kick our butts, But we wound up from that point on. That's when our dynasty started to run for the next 3 years, really.
Did you know that Emmitt was going to be the Hall of Famer that he was then?
Yeah, man. Emmitt was incredible, man. He had incredible vision, man. You didn't have to give him much, man, but you had to give, but that game, man, he just didn't get any help. You get any blocking because we were on a whole nother level as a defense. Yeah. We were our defense was, for those 3 or 4 years, we were the best in the country by far. It wasn't even close. Our defensive coordinator just changed our whole attack, and they just couldn't block us, man. We just had, from a schematic point of thing, man, we were just pretty much, with that speed and talent, we were just unblockable. But I knew Emmitt Smith was, as soon as he got into the NFL, man, he was going to be a great player, no doubt.
Yeah. You guys also faced quarterbacks like Drew Bledsoe back then. Am I correct?
Oh yeah. We faced some great quarterbacks, man. I played against Troy Aikman at UCLA, yep. Rodney Peete at USC. Elvis Gerback at Michigan. Tommy Maddox. I think he played at Pittsburgh Steelers for a while. Played against a lot of great quarterbacks, man. Okay, cool. I'm pretty sure I'm getting some.
It's all good. We remember those guys though, and all of them kind of started coming in the NFL. I know Rodney Peete was with the Lions for a little bit, with the Eagles, and Aikman with Dallas. So talk about the bowl games. You guys, how many bowl games did you go to before you guys went to the national championship?
Well, we always went to bowl game, man. Went to I think every year well, like we went to. I played in the I guess the first bowl I played against my freshman year was the Independence Bowl. Then we played in the Freedom Bowl. Then we played in 3 straight Rose Bowls. So yeah, man. Had a great experience, man. There's nothing like playing in a bowl game, man.
Yeah. Coming out of college, talk about getting ready for the NFL draft.
Well, that was always my lifelong dream, man. I was kind of like a tweener. So, it was like, here I am, a 6'1" defensive end, basically, and back then, they didn't wanted you to be 6'4" and all that stuff, man, and so I had to prove myself, really, man. I had to go in and prove that I could play, and even though, I didn't have the height that they wanted, my explosiveness, I went to the combines and had the fastest time as a linebacker. I was the strongest linebacker there, but still, it was a challenge, man, because I didn't get drafted till really late, which was frustrating, man. Mel Kiper had me going high in the draft, and then, but like I said, I was a tweener, and they really didn't. But they put so much emphasis on size, because I was like a Dwight Freeney type guy before his time. Dwight Freeney, when Dwight Freeney came, he was about my size, but I proved, once I got there, man, I proved I belonged. I was doing the same stuff I was doing in college, man. But it was just a challenge. They just teams. I remember when I was my rookie year, I made the team at the Jets, right? And they were like, at the time, Ronnie Lott was with the Jets. He's at the end of his career, and they were just, they were just putting me in and putting me out. And Ronnie's like, "What you doing? He's our best pass rusher. Why he's not playing? It was just weird, like the NFL and some teams, some organizations were just weird like that, where, they wanted to play that first round draft choice, a guy that got, the guy from Florida whom I ain't calling no names, but, he was that first round draft choice, and, we after, and they wanted to put him in there, and, but it was just those types of challenges, I had, when I was younger, man. And, if I hadn't blew my knee out, I would have overcame all those, but like in my third year, I blew my knee out. So so I didn't really get a chance to really overcome some of those challenges. But I definitely had some good games, had a few game balls, and but it wasn't the career that I wanted. But I made it. And I was able to say I've been there.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look back at the national championship highlights. You guys played a lot of good teams that year, and they were ranked very high. And you guys knocked them off by a lot in points and margin, dominated on defense. Then we'll go in and take a look at your personal highlights, okay? So just give me like 1 second. For everybody that's watching, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification button, and also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer, okay? All right, here we go.
When we come back here next year, if we come back here next year, we're going to play for the big one. We're not playing for just Rose Bowl championship. I want to play for #1 rock on my finger.
Stanford wants to make a mark. Some think Washington can contend for the national championship. And intercepted by Steve Impman. He's going to score. The Washington Huskies. #4. The Nebraska Cornhuskers, #9. Give it to Bryant. He splits them and scores. Touchdown. Middle touchdown. Orlando McKay.
3rd down and 6. Holbert's got a man. Bailey wide open. Can go all the way. Touchdown, Washington.
It is sold out. It is Husky Stadium. It is intercepted. Walter Bailey will go. Touchdown, Washington.
The running back. Holbert hands to him on the draw, and Berry blocks toward the goal line.
Huskies. Washington hangs on to stay unbeaten.
Now Musgrave is in big-time trouble as Steve Emman, number 90, is in there first. 5 from the 29. Want to go deep. Bailey, touchdown, Washington. 3, touchdown, Washington. Orlando McKay held on against Adam Brass. Touchdown, Washington.
Vino's got his first down and more. He's got a touchdown. Number 54, Dave Hoffman.
And this is the 84th Apple Cup. Bledsoe going to be buried.
The granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl.
It is intercepted by Walter Bailey. Touchdown from Billy Joe. Down the corner, Bailey. Touchdown.
It could be as early as 3 a.m. Eastern Time, perhaps 6 a.m. Eastern Time before the AP poll is out. We don't have votes. If I had one, I would give it to Washington. A very impressive, neutral field, tougher opponent. They got it done.
Back.
That was
Yes,
tight,
sir.
man. That was tight, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like I said, he shut down some legendary quarterbacks in college. Ended up playing in the NFL. Had pretty good careers on some notable names. Talk about the atmosphere of University of Washington on that verge of going to the national championship game.
Well, the atmosphere was incredible, man, because back then, the Huskies, were the favorite team, over the Seahawks, Supersonics, the Mariners, the Huskies, we pretty much, when it comes to a sports team, we ran Seattle back then. Sold out every game, and probably the most incredible venue in the country. People, you see the stadium, how people ride their boats to the yachts to the stadium, and it's right on a lake. Washington is so beautiful setting. It was just a lot of excitement, man, that I think we generated in the Pacific Northwest, and but being out in Seattle though, you're away from, so far away from the rest of the country, and people don't really get a chance to see as much as they did if we played in New York or somewhere back east. So that's why a lot of people don't know, don't really know how good we were, and we don't get nearly the amount of, I think, the credit that we deserve of being one of the all-time great teams ever.
Okay, cool. All right, I got another clip right here I want to show everybody. This is your highlights in 1991. This guy right here was breaking the wood this year. Like he was going to hurt a lot of quarterbacks. But we're going to go ahead and get into it. Let's go there now. There we go. Yes, sir. We back. So you was going on the edge. You took some of them. What was your favorite move for the sack? Was it the spin move? Was it the rip? What was your favorite move?
Oh, no doubt the spin move, man. That was the move. Yeah. And you set the guy up with the speed. Get him thinking you coming. You gonna blow by him, and then you just make that pivot step and turn those hips and dip your shoulder in for that spin move, man. It works very, very well, man. It worked very well for me.
Cool. It worked a lot. You get a lot of sacks in the NFL?
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't have any of those highlights, man. You didn't have, it's on YouTube.
If I had any of those highlights, I have to do another segment for this show. It's too long.
Yep. I got that on YouTube. Just Google Don Jones, New York Jets, man. I had a few. I had a few sacks, man. And I sacked John Elway, Marino, and had and got the Bledsoe when he was with the Giants a few times.
So I always wanted to know.
He was with New England. I'm sorry.
What was the difference between Marino and Elway in that era? Because they were almost like neck and neck.
Well, John Elway was a lot mobile, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I think. But anyway, I was saying that John Elway was obviously more mobile. I think that was the main difference. But Marino had the quickest release ever, man. It was hard getting to him because he got rid of that ball so quick, But I think because I know I had, but John Elway is he was a more mobile guy, and Marino was probably a little bit better passer, quicker release. That's what But they both Hall of Famers.
Yep.
Two of the greats of all time.
Hey, talk about the speed between college and the NFL when you got there. What was the difference?
Yeah, well, it was definitely a difference there. But when you play against the team that we played against in practice every day, I didn't think it was that much of a drastic change. It was just a lot more pressure, so to speak. It was a lot of more pressure to win. I mean, I ain't gonna say it's pressure to win, but it was just because it's always pressure to win, and at that even at the highest level of college. But I think it was, I think it was more business-like in the NFL. Just with the teams I was on. I mean, I know some NFL teams, has great cultures and everything, but I think some, a lot of the NFL depends on what organization you depend on. In the NFL, the key to being in the NFL is getting with the right team that fits your skill set.
There you go.
And that's one of the things I wish I was a free agent, man. And never hadn't been drafted by a team. I can go to a team that fits your certain skill set. I didn't have the opportunity to really do that. But I think that's the key: getting with the right scheme and getting with the right. Obviously, the talent is at every position. Is
right.
I think that's the thing. There's no weaknesses. You got to come. You're not going to have an off. You're not in the NFL. You're not going to have a day where you can say take off and say, "Well, I ain't got to give it my all." You got to come with it every day. And every Sunday. Because any team could beat you. I say that's the main difference. But as far as talent, as far as the speed of the game, man, we had so much. Playing against Lincoln Kennedy every day, who's a 4-time Pro Bowler. We played against NFL players every day in our practices, so it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So talk about playing for the Jets. You get there, you come from University of Washington, you come all the way to New York. You're back on the East Coast again, closer back home. Playing, I guess your quarterback at that time has to be Boomer Esiason, correct?
Man, you done sports encyclopedia, man. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, no way you gonna remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Boomer Esiason was he was my quarterback. Yeah.
So
Jeff Blake, he was a backup. He had a great career. Ended up having a great career as well. Jeff Blake with Cincinnati Bengals. He was like the backup quarterback at the time.
Yeah, they both played for the same teams, Jets and the Bengals.
You're right.
So talk about being teammates with them. What type of leader was Boomer?
Boomer was a great leader, man. I never forget, man. Because me as a guy that just trying to I'm a guy that's to have no guaranteed roster spot. I had to go out there and battle every day, and he appreciated that because as a pass rusher I would always be around the quarterback in practice, but they don't like that. You get near the quarterback, stay away from the quarterback. Boomer's like, man, that dude's coming. Leave him alone. We're gonna need him. He was that type of leader. And I always appreciated that. He didn't get mad or whatever. Because I might have touched him up a little bit. He was like, man, he's coming. Let him come. He wanted that because he know that in the NFL you're gonna need those type of guys.
He needed that simulation to get better as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So so it's iron sharper than iron. So talk about some of the Pro Bowl players that were on that team that year. I don't think Boomer was that year, but I know he had a lot of Pro Bowl moments when he played with the Bengals. I know you guys had a lot of good defensive players. You could talk about that a little bit, and then talk about life after football.
Yeah, sure, man. We had, in every NFL team, you're going to have some great players. We had Leonard Marshall, who had a great career with the Giants. He came over. He used to call me Mighty Mouse. I was short, but I was pretty strong. So of course, Ronnie Lott, the legendary Ronnie Lott, was our safety at the time. And he was, he was one of the greatest leaders you can be around. Being around him, and he always looked out for me because, I was one of Charles Haley's homeboys. Him and Charles Haley were real tight when they won Super Bowl champions at the 49ers. So I had a great relationship with him, and we had just had great players. They had great players like Mo Lewis. He was the guy that made Tom Brady famous. Because he's the one that took out Drew Bledsoe.
Yep.
His locker was right next to mine, and I used to enjoy his company, man. Great funny guy, man, a great football player. The guy that he had some challenges but overcame them, man. He struggled early in his career, but he wound up having a great NFL career, man.
Yeah. He went into commentating for a little bit after he retired. I remember.
Yeah.
Go ahead, KJ.
Yeah. I was going to ask him any message for the youth that might want to follow your footsteps.
Hey, man, absolutely, man. I would say the message to the youth, man, is to, is first of all put God first in your life, because that's what I did as a young player. And that's why I thank God every day. I used to pray to the Lord to give me an opportunity to play in the NFL, and He did that. I wish I'd been more specific. I should have said like a 10-year NFL career or something.
Yeah.
Right.
But be specific with God.
Be specific with God, man. Tell him what you want.
Up.
And He'll do it for you, man. But you got to honor Him as a youth too. You can't just be like lip service. That God help me to do this, but are you going to honor Him? Are you going to do the right thing? Are you going to make the right choice?
That's right.
And I think if you put God first in your life, He will cause your dreams to come true. So definitely, man. The Bible says, "Forsake not the days of youth." For the Lord. Don't wait. You get older. And try to serve God. Serve Him while you're young. Blessings will come to you.
Wait.
Right.
Yeah, let the people know what you got going on now, Donald. Life after football.
Well, a lot of the youth probably know my company. I have one of the largest. I'm partners with one of the largest digital media companies in the country. We started a company called Under the Radar Sports Media. And we're one of the largest digital media companies in the nation right now. And have over 1 million followers, and we do. Our content is really, really remarkable. How we showcase a lot of the young talent across the nation in a very unique way. We have a very unique way of doing that, and one of the things we try to do, man, we want to make football fun and exciting. Football has been a great sport, a great it's created so many avenues for me, we want to keep the sport as the number one sport in America. And, we started the youth and all the way up into college now. So So we want to cover football from its root level, and showcase some of the best talent across the country, and let the world know who's going to be the next great football players we're going to have.
That's right.
All right, cool. Any shout outs? Any shout outs to former teammates, family members, friends, anybody help you along your journey?
Yeah, man. I just shout out to my parents, man. I'm thankful for having great parents and who supported me throughout my career. And I always love my Huskies. All my boys. When you can't go undefeated unless you have a certain level of bond and unity with a group of guys, and that's and I'm telling you, man, when I say that, we had about over 100 guys on our football team, and I said we all were tight. We didn't have. We fought and had disagreements, but at the end of the day, we were brothers. And that's the type of unity, I think works in all organizations in life, no matter whether it's football, business. That type of unity, that type of camaraderie, you have where everybody, when you see us, when you watch our highlights, you notice how we were all jumping around for each other.
Right.
You're happy to see we're on the same team. So whenever somebody on your same team is successful, you got to be excited because you're part of that. And I think no jealousy, no hating, and I think that's why I like to shout out my guys.
All right, cool.
So,
well, we appreciate you coming on the show, Mr. Jones. It was a pleasure having you on. We'd like to welcome you back anytime. For everybody that's watching, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification button. Make sure you cop some of our merch. We'll have the link below at the end of this episode. Also, follow us on Facebook, Spotify, and Deezer. We would like to thank Donald Jones for coming on the show. He's a former All Pac-10 1990 linebacker and national champion, and former New York Jets and Minnesota Viking. Okay. Until next time, you guys tune in and watch. We'll be here next week. Tune in. Wear your mask. Be safe. And it's not how you start. It's how you what?
You already know.
Right.
All right. Until next time, guys, you be safe. Peace, love, and blessings.